One of the hardest parts about leaving an abusive man isn't just the actual act of leaving itself. It's leaving the story that he told you about you. He made you into someone that you don't see yourself as. Right now, he says you're crazy, you're unstable, you're dramatic, you're abusive. You're the problem. You're just bitter, you're controlling, you're jealous. You're the problem. And suddenly you're not just trying to survive the relationship anymore like you were when you were in it. You are literally trying to defend your entire character. And often not just to him, but to people around you, friends, family, mutual friends, which I don't really believe exists. But, and you focused on his mother. A lot of women are also focused on defending themselves to his mother, someone who will probably be on his side no matter what. You're defending yourself to people who weren't there, who didn't see what happened, and somehow they feel very comfortable having an opinion about what you did, right? Just like people on the internet, if you tell your story, if you share posts about what you've been through, everyone feels that they're going to have an opinion on what you did or what you should have done. And the reason it's so brutal is because you know that what they're saying isn't true. You know what he did. You know what you survived. You know that you felt crazy. You were there. You were there behind closed doors, so you know. And now it's this almost unbearable feeling of wanting people to understand what happened. You want them to hear your side. Well, I want to break down why abusive men distort your character, why they're so good at it, why the urge to prove yourself gets so all-consuming, and how flying monkeys keep you trapped in this circus. Self-validation can become the closure that you keep trying to get from people who never want you to have it. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach, and I'm an expert on toxic and abusive relationships. I speak internationally on domestic violence and narcissism and abusive men. And on this channel, I expose what they're doing, and I help women understand themselves better so that you can actually leave men like this, heal from relationships like this. By the end of this video, you are going to completely understand why you do this and have some skills to let this go. Now, he's not just defending himself, right? Because that's kind of a common thing that we expect. They'll deny what they did and say that it never happened. But actually, he's rewriting you. And this is the part that so many women really underestimate, how emotional this makes you, how much this actually affects you. Because he doesn't need to just look innocent, right? He doesn't need to just say that didn't happen. He needs you to look crazy and unstable. He needs your reactions to be more important than his behavior. That's very exactly what happened in the relationship, right? He wants your boundaries to look cruel. He needs you to look vindictive, right? Or if you're grieving, if you reach out to him after you break up, suddenly you're obsessed. You're a stalker. He says all these crazy things. He wants you to look irrational. In fact, if you're afraid of him emotionally or physically, he really wants that to look irrational because he needs to protect his own self-image, which a lot of these men will say, narcissism is a word that's just wildly overused. The truth is, it's a personality trait, not just a diagnosis. And it is, in fact, very narcissistic to be very concerned with image management. He wants people to see him as good, but he also wants people to see you as bad and wrong. So he does all of this to protect himself and his own friggin' story. This is how he protects his image. He just rewrites you so that he doesn't have to answer for what he did. A lack of accountability is really the common thread in so many of these abusive relationships. Now, we have this urge, right, to prove ourselves true and prove what happened, prove that we were right, because your identity, it's being attacked, right? So you're not defending some little detail. You're not like, who screamed first, who flipped out first. No, you are defending your character, your goodness, your sanity. You're also defending your intentions, right? Because he's always positioning you as the perpetrator of something, right? He's always the victim. You could be defending your motherhood. If you're a mother, and I realize not everyone is, you could be being accused of being a bad mother, not caring about your kids, destroying your family. So you want to defend that. You're defending your loyalty to someone, how much you put into this relationship, the entire sense of who you are. And so many people will say these awesome little gems of advice like, let it go. Who cares what he thinks, right? And I wish that that was true. And honestly, it's not that at its core, that's bad advice. It's that it's unhelpful. It doesn't teach you anything about how to let it go. It also doesn't validate how hard this is. This isn't something you can just let go, right? This is your reputation. This is who you are. This is your identity. It feels like someone is literally trying to steal your reality in public. That was happening already behind closed doors, but now it's in plain view. And it feels so unfair. So of course you want to like run after your reality, grab it back and be like, this is what's true. You're tired of being gaslit. You're tired of being told how you feel and told that you're wrong and that you're to blame for everything. Now, these abusive men, right? They are incredibly good at knowing what matters to you. They really get to know you. You care about being good. He knows that. And that's why these tactics work really well on women with empathy. He knows that you don't want to be seen as cruel or vindictive or crazy or abusive. And I mean, talk about the ultimate flip, right? He's abusive, but he paints you as abusive or a bad mother. Or as I said, you destroyed the family. You chose yourself, right? Women always choosing their own happiness. How dare you not want to stay in an abusive relationship? It's crazy. But you perform this innocence, right? You want to prove that you're kind. So you explain context and you document every little detail. You have a folder, you have a binder, you have a notes app, and it's all up here. You remember everything, but you're so concerned with tone policing yourself and even maybe trying to sound reasonable enough to be believed. But his story is going to continue to control your behavior. You know, we don't want to be emotional and irrational when we're explaining things, but at the same time, it's hard to sort of be policed in how you tell your story. Now, the truth is, not everyone wants to tell their story. Some do, some don't. And honestly, to each their own. Decide what makes sense for you. It's easy to say we should all tell our stories, but there's consequences that come with that, however unfair that may be. And I don't judge anybody who doesn't want to tell their story, but I understand the desire to want to correct the false story that he's spinning. Now, these fabulous little flying monkeys that narcissistic people and abusers tend to keep around, they keep you playing in this damn circus, right? Because there's all these questions, but they have questions with some kind of agenda, right? His mother calls you because she just wants to understand, right? But I don't think she wants to understand. She actually wants information. She wants to explain to you why her baby boy would never do that. His friends don't believe you because they're his friends. Why are you talking to them? And the concept of mutual friends, I have tons of videos on that. There is no such thing as mutual friends. Mutual friends are the first to say, I don't want to take sides. You know, I'm friends with you both. Well, you're either okay with being friends with an abuser or you think I'm a liar and you're okay with being friends with a liar. And in neither case is that person there for you. You're not able to play both sides. And I can imagine from their perspective, it's tricky if they really don't know. But the truth is, these people need to figure it out themselves. They're going to learn the hard way. There is no such thing as mutual friends. These people can often become flying monkeys, and you don't need that around you when you're trying to heal and support yourself to move forward. They're going to suck you back into his story. You don't want to hear the things he's saying. You want to completely exit all of that. You don't want to be there when somebody's repeating his version of the story back to you like it's a fact, right? Or have somebody be like, well, he said that you did this too. Because now you are dragged back into defending yourself. You're explaining the timeline and the escalation and the context of the thing that got twisted. It's infuriating. That's the circus. Leave the circus. You don't have tickets. Head out. No, every time you enter it, this man still has access to your nervous system. This is a much bigger part that people need to realize. This isn't just about the words. This is taking a toll on you. People believe what protects their existing view. It's human nature. So if there are people who already liked him, certainly his mom, you know, his family perhaps, his friends, they already benefit from believing him. They don't want to admit that they missed the abuse. It's actually very ironic, right? A lot of people will say, oh, you didn't see it. Oh, you should have seen it. You didn't see it, right? His friends don't see it. You think I'm stupid for not seeing it? Are you stupid too? It makes no sense, right? People often just don't understand coercive control, and they're just this concept of both sides. You know, most people are more comfortable with both sides than actually just saying one person did this. That's why one of the most popular bull crap expressions on this planet are, well, there's two sides to every story. I mean, there's reality. There's what actually happened objectively. And then the two sides might be feelings. But if you even think of the two sides, let's say you don't listen to him and so he screams at you. Well, your side is, there's no reason to scream at someone, even if they're not listening to you. And to him, it's, well, what did you expect? I had to scream at her. She wasn't listening. The only way she listens is if I scare her. The only way she listens to me is if I raise my voice. Those are the two sides. But what happened is he screamed at you. That's what happened. But people want to give it unnecessary context that doesn't matter, but it's to excuse the behavior and preserve their view of someone. He must have had a reason, right? And men do that a lot for other men. And sadly, they make women work really hard in the patriarchy too. And there's plenty of women that do that for abusive men. People need to think that you're dramatic, right? Because then they don't have to rethink their relationship with this person. It's crazy making. You can hand people evidence and they're still going to believe the story that costs them less emotionally. People always want to know, why do people believe him? This is why. So I want you to let go of the idea that you have this goal to make everybody understand, because the goal is actually to stop the bleeding. Stop your bleeding. You're dealing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And that doesn't mean that the lies don't matter. This isn't just a long-winded way to tell you, get over it. Don't let it affect you. I think that words don't have as much meaning if we don't give them the meaning. But I also understand that sometimes the stories that these guys tell can affect your job, can affect your family. Those things matter. I'm not downplaying that. It can also affect your safety, in fact. But if these are things that just upset you, I understand that it upsets you, and we're going to work on it not upsetting you. We're going to work on detaching from any value that these stories have in your life. Every distorted opinion that random people have about you is not an emergency. This is actually how they get your whole nervous system completely out of whack, because he's directing it. He's directing the narrative, and he has a hold on you and how you see yourself. And the more he winds you up and the more you try to defend yourself, you're feeding into the very narrative that he's created about you. Now, a very big distinction here, right, is that there's a difference between clearing the record and chasing validation. And this matters in a big way. You have to understand the difference, right? If his lies affect court, custody, your job, your safety, your reputation in a meaningful way, document it. That makes sense, right? Write it down, save the messages, keep the timeline, respond in proper channels, get things in writing. Like, all of this matters. I don't mean, just completely ignore it. But I'm asking you to not argue with people who have no authority in your life, right? A strategic response makes sense, but that's not the same thing as emotionally proving what happens. Strategic response, that protects you, that makes sense, but the other drains you. So just step out of it, learn the difference. It's going to save you a ton of energy. Now, there are real world consequences, and this is different, right? This is where people oversimplify it. Just ignore it. And it's like, I don't think you understand. This is affecting my custody. I don't think you understand. Like, we work at the same company and my boss thinks I'm crazy or whatever. He's showing up to your work, saying all kinds of crazy things. You look crazy. If this affects your community, your finances, your housing, your safety, your children, this is not a just let it go, do nothing situation, but get strategic, not emotional. This is where therapy helps and coaching helps, because you need a strategy. You can't just be flying off the handle with all the garbage that he's throwing at people. You don't have to convince every one of his cousins and friends and coworkers and auntie in the cheap seats of what happened, of your truth. Not everyone actually deserves access to your defense. This is a very let them moment, right? If they're going to believe this about you and there's no skin in the game for you, let them. They're going to learn it the hard way. Let them have their own punishment of the natural consequence of learning that he is a bad person. And if they never learn, that's a consequence too. Still having to have that horrible person in their lives. You get to move on. You get to be free of this. He doesn't. He has to live in his own skin forever. You don't. So the trap that a lot of women fall in here is wanting him to admit the truth, wanting him to admit it, wanting people to see it, right? This isn't fair. He gets to lie. That's not fair. Everybody believes him. So you want him to say, I lied, I hurt you, I twisted it, I made you look crazy, I know what I did. And I know that that would feel like oxygen, that would feel like the most validating thing you could ever imagine. I mean, we dream of that kind of accountability. Abusive men will never give you that, because admitting the truth costs them the image that they're trying to protect. They want to be in control of how people see them. They need to be the victim. They need the sympathy and adoration. They need the attention. And they definitely need the power and control. So if you're waiting for his honesty, you are being held captive. You can't make your closure and all of your healing dependent on the very person who benefited from confusing you and abusing you from the get-go. Now, the hardest part is letting people be wrong about you. This is an awful feeling. I'm not going to pretend like it's some peaceful, oh, it's so freeing. It can feel humiliating, enraging, unfair, physically uncomfortable, like literally your skin is crawling. And for anyone wondering, have I been through this? Absolutely. 100% I've been through this. I've had so many people, mutual friends who later very quickly became not mutual friends, just his, who later learned the hard way. They had to go down that path themselves. I had to let people feel the way they feel and stop correcting them because they're either going to get it or they're not. And I have no control over that. You have no control over that. This has got to be one of those moments where you just decide, what can I control? I can't control the narrative. I can only control what I say and what I think and what I feel and what I know happened. What happened, whether he admits it or not, right? So you can be as clear as you want. Maybe you want to say it once and that's okay. Just drop the facts, but then stop performing for people. Just stop. Letting people be wrong about you can feel like you are chewing on broken glass, but staying costs you so much more. Step out of this. Now, self-validation isn't pretending that you're not hurt by this, okay? You can still be hurt. It just means that you are not outsourcing reality anymore. You know what happened. You know what you went through. It makes sense. Again, you were there. All these other people, flying monkeys or whatever you want to call them, they weren't there. These are crazy people making assumptions based on what they think. You have the facts. And I know you want to present the facts and you may have receipts and show people things, but we all know that people can be presented with facts and still not let them land. Okay? So we need to deliberately make a choice to step out of this. Step out of the performance. You're not auditioning for his mom. Your relationship is over or ending. Stop pleading with mutual friends. Don't write paragraphs to people who've already chose a side. He's not going to understand you. Stop chasing this idea that you're going to be believed by everyone just because it's the truth. The truth doesn't always win. Sometimes the sensational story that he tells makes more sense. And it's unfortunate, but these people can dupe a lot of people. So maybe you just go off and know that you feel bad for the people who don't see it. You used to be one of them, right? We all didn't see it at some point, but now you do. They'll get there or they won't. You have no control over that. So identify who actually matters. Court matters, obviously. Your lawyer matters. Your children in age-appropriate ways, that matters. The safest people around you matter. I get it. His mother does not need some friggin' closing argument, okay? We're not litigating what actually happened with his mom. Be so for real. Everywhere else that doesn't matter, step back. Just practice the art of stepping back. It is super hard. The actual real win is not everyone believing you. It's you believing yourself. You remember when you used to doubt yourself, when you were like, I don't even know, is this abuse? Isn't this abuse? Am I the problem? Am I the narcissist? Did I make him this way? Is it his trauma? All the things that you used to think. The win is that you now know exactly what this is and what this was, and you know that it was abuse. You win when you respond strategically instead of emotionally. You know your character. You don't need some hostile audience to help you see that. You see that. That is where your power really starts to come back. Wanting to prove yourself after abuse, God, it makes so much sense. Of course you want people to know the truth. Of course you want people to know what he did. That would be so validating and frankly vindicating, right? Like maybe that's even in some ways the best revenge is people know now. Document what matters, but protect yourself where there's real consequences and let go where there aren't. Stop giving your whole nervous system to people who were never safe to begin with. Subscribe if you're not already. And honestly, this is where you can really do some work. If this is hard for you, if you hear this and you're like, I don't even know what the first steps are to get myself out of this, you can work with me in one-on-one sessions, or you can join any of my group coaching programs. I have several programs. One is called Rise and Rebuild. This is where you completely focus on yourself and learning who you are and how to love yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.